What's up? What is happening? Welcome. All right. So, this is the second piece in a series that I've been presenting. And if you want to read it, I will link it around the video. And so, the first piece in the series was about what happens when couples keep having the same argument over and over, or what feels like the same argument. It could be a different topic, but it feels like the same because you're repeating your patterns. And this piece is about what happens when we become curious, when we get present, when we slow down, whatever it takes to get some insight, to start to notice the pattern, to become present within the pattern, and see what happens there. And so let's talk this through. So you might ask, someone might ask, what does it mean to slow down or get more present, get curious about the pattern while it's happening? What does that actually mean? And so people hear that and they think it means like take a break, stop talking, you step away. And that is a thing. I mean, that's a thing. If there's emotional flooding, if you're just like totally overwhelmed, you do need to do that. But that's not really what I mean. That's not really what I mean. Slowing down here in this context means the pattern is no longer moving so fast that you're completely stuck in it or completely caught by it. Your awareness is observing it a little bit. You're not identified with the pattern so much. You're the awareness observing the pattern. Right? Because the reactivity that we have sometimes moves faster than our ability to become aware. So that's why becoming present with it, become curious with it, can involve slowing down. There's a pause, a breath, a little space, a little more space. And in that space, something might become possible that wasn't possible a moment before when you were completely caught in the pattern. It's a little less protection, a little less character armoring, a little less defending, whatever it is for you, a little less attacking maybe, a little less criticizing, a little less judgment, and a little more curiosity. And I'll tell you, if you learn to practice curiosity, just presence and curiosity, if you recognize you're in a pattern, you let that recognition be a trigger to take a breath and get curious. Just intentionally decide to get curious about what's happening. That can give you the space. That curiosity can give you a little bit of expansiveness, a little bit of awareness, so that you can stop identifying and being totally caught by your patterns. And I think we often wonder, why does this happen so fast? Why am I caught in my pattern so fast? Well, you're probably caught in it for a while before you recognize it. That's one reason why it seems to happen so fast. And couples will say, hey, we go from a normal conversation to a full argument in moments. And what's really happening there is not just communication. Because people come to me saying they need to work on their communication, and it's really more than that. Communication can be a tool for the work, but if it stops there, it really doesn't usually break the patterns. It's the nervous system. Something gets activated in the nervous system. And it happens before you realize it. So people are still talking, explaining, attacking, defending, criticizing, closing off, walling up, stonewalling, whatever you want to call it. And it's like they're not fully present. They're not fully their authentic self. Their nervous system is running a pattern. And their breathing might be more shallow, their jaw might be tighter, maybe their shoulders are up in their ears, and the attention gets narrower. I mean, it's really, to say it gets narrower is an understatement, because your presence is blocked by these patterns. It's like not who you are. These patterns are like structures of your psyche, of your ego, really. And so you don't have access to the other faculties of essential qualities of who you really are, your awareness at that point. You don't have access as much. And so you're acting from habit as opposed to awareness. And so there's something I refer to as losing contact, or losing contactful presence is what I'm really meaning. You lose contact with yourself first. And when that happens, you also lose contact with your partner, because you've been triggered. And you may have been triggered for much, much longer than you recognize. But when you recognize it, that's the point of awareness, and it seems like it's happened so fast, maybe. And when that happens, your awareness kind of shrinks, right? Your attention narrows, and the relational contact between you disappears. You're both running patterns. You're not connecting. One of you's running a pattern enough that neither of you can connect. And the pattern takes over in the relationship. And it's like the space between you isn't that relational space that you're both typically present in. And you can watch it happen. With couples I work with, I can watch it happen. I mean, a lot of times by the time they come to me, they're already there. And it's not that they're typically present in it, because maybe it's been a long time. Maybe it begins since the beginning of their marriage or relationship. And now they're just doing the work of trying to decide if they can hold the relationship together. And we point fingers, we explain our case, we attack, we defend, we criticize, we stonewall. And by that point, we're not really talking to each other anymore. We're projecting. The pattern is running the interaction. And so, at that point, insight or understanding doesn't seem to fix it. This is a big one. People say, we understand the pattern. We've talked about it. So why does it keep happening? And the answer is, I don't know, but maybe because insight alone, understanding alone, doesn't interrupt the pattern. It's the nervous system. And when that activation happens, protection moves faster than awareness. real science behind that. That parts of the brain fire off that move very quickly. Okay? So even if you understand the argument, you're already caught up in this pattern. So what actually helps? And this is where the work becomes a practice. Not something easy, but something that you can practice. You look for a small doorway back. Not a big solution, not fixing or solving the whole argument. A shift you can make in a moment. And start with curiosity. Take a breath in your nose. Feel your belly fill up. Exhale out your mouth all the way. And get curious about what's happening. What's happening emotionally, what's happening in your body, what is happening in your partner's body, what your partner is feeling and experiencing. Get curious about the experience, the shared experience, the shared moment. Because that's what you've lost when you've lost presence. Even if it's a painful moment. Instead of making your point, correcting what the other person is getting wrong, just ask, what's happening in me right now? Or reflect, what's happening in you right now? And really notice. There might be fear, there might be hurt, there might be shame. There might be a longing to be understood. And I know I mentioned a moment ago, check what's happening in your body. And so you may be wondering, why are you asking me to be curious about what's happening in my body? How does the body come into this? And that's a question people ask. The body is actually where you can find the doorway back because the pattern shows up there. Your body holds a tightening, a heaviness, a tension, a contraction. And in that moment, something as simple as putting your hand where you feel it. Taking a breath. And just staying there for a moment. What starts to happen is your nervous system might begin to settle a little. Your awareness might expand a little, right? And so that contactful presence starts to come back. Starts to come back to the moment, back to the experience. Away from some of the judgment, a little distance from the criticism, the attacking, the defending, the stonewalling. And something really important might shift there when you get that little bit of expansive awareness, that curiosity, that break from the judgment. The tone of the conversation changes. The pace becomes more natural and authentic, and there's an exchange between the two of you. The conversation is no longer such a battle. It becomes contactful presence, a relational field between you and your partner. Not because of agreement, not because of resolution, but because of contact, presence. And then something new is possible. And so I hope that's helpful. Feel free to explore more in the blog posts that are linked around the video. Aloha.